Pleasure to be here. And I would like to say that I feel like the most important thing we could really do is actually show up in the right place at the right time with the right people. You know, so often we're on automatic and we don't know how we even got to places or why we chose to be here. So one of the things I just want to acknowledge is that we did that. And now we're waiting to see what evolves from that. And I'd like to begin with a ritual that has come from the tribes of Northern Natal in South Africa. They have a wonderful greeting, and in this greeting is really an invitation to be present with one another. Now, some of you may have heard about this greeting where we actually, oh my,
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Let's see if we can fix that.
Thank you.
Not that it's going to be the worst thing. There we go.
Beautiful. So some of you may have experienced and seen this greeting where instead of hello in this culture, when people see each other, they say, I see you. That we fully come into presence of one another. Now, an interesting story this summer is that I was actually teaching at Columbia University this summer, and I began my course in this way, and one person raised their hand and said, Professor Lantieri, I actually have something respectfully to tell you about this because I'm actually from Northern Natal in South Africa. And right away I was like, oh my goodness. I've had this greeting and ritual that I've used in hundreds and thousands of places, but it was very powerful. She stood up and she came right in front of me and she said, actually, these words of I see you and what we say in response, Sakona, I am here, in our language are actually in the plural. And so she came up to me, and for the first time, I've been doing this for 15 years, literally, she said, we see you. All my relatives, all those that guide me, are present right now as we see you. And I had all to do but lose it because I felt the presence of both my mother and my father, and I managed to say, we are here. So I'd like to invite you to do this activity with each other in a moment, and you decide whether it's an I or a we. The order of exchange, however, is very important. Until you see me, I don't exist. It's like you bring me into existence. And I think those of us that work with children know that feeling when a child really knows we've seen them. They literally are brought into existence in that moment. And so we're going to do a little practicing of this because clearly this is the way we ought to be bringing up our children, to feel that way, to acknowledge them in that way. And of course, our hope is that that happens for us today, right here, right now. So this is the cheat sheet because I'm going to actually encourage us to get up for a moment and see if we can do this with a few people until you hear a chime, and then I'm going to let you know what we're going to do. So you might want to like reach to the back, reach over a couple, so that in this few minutes you're at least doing this with a couple of people, and you may want to use it then in your own active repertoire. In New York City, which I'm sure you could figure out I come from, that's okay, it's okay. People take me around and they say, talk to her, she's from New York City, she'll enjoy it, you know. So that's how I realized the level of my accent. So lo and behold, one of you, and it doesn't matter who, is going to say, I see you, or we see you. The person is going to respond, I'm here, I see you, or we see you. And then the other person will say, I'm here, or we're here. So this is a little the little back and forth here. Okay? And when you hear the chime, I'm just going to ask that there's silence, and I'll let you know what we're going to do. So stand up and try to do it, and you're practicing it, so you're getting to know it. You're seeing if it could be in your repertoire. So remain standing, and if you could just find someone that you know you're going to talk with and stand back to back. It might be somebody behind you, or it might be someone next to you. But turn around and stand back to back with the person you are going to speak with. But try to work it out that you really are noticing who might need a partner. And just be brave and raise your hand if you need one, so that you can move through a bit and find each other. Perfect. Looks like it's happening. There's a hand up here with someone that needs a partner. Is there anyone else that is around? Wonderful, yes? Or we'll make a threesome. Okay, let's do that. So what I'd like to ask you to do in a moment is we're going to do a quick paired share, and there'll be several times where we have this reflect and connect part of the conference. It's really to integrate what's going on, to get a chance for you to talk to each other about what's happening in your heart and mind. So when we ask to do that, there's no cross dialogue. You're either listening or speaking. You're each going to take 2 minutes, and then I'll let you know when the 2 minutes is up and the other person is going to speak. You'll find your level of comfort, and then that everything you say is confidential. Could we just get a raise of hands on that? Now, of course, everybody's terrified. What is she going to ask us to talk about? I never know quite how to do that in a way like, yes, all right. Well, what's up here, you know? So here's what I'm going to be asking you to do. It's 3 questions. When it gets your turn, and you may get to all 3, you may not, because it's 2 minutes each. First of all, what drew you here? You know, why are you here? And then I always say, why are you really here? You know, when you say to a kid, they're telling you what happened and go back and forth. Anything else? Then you hear the real story, right? So it's kind of like, why are you here? Why are you really here? And then, what do you perhaps need to put on hold? And you're only telling this to one other person, but believe it or not, we're coming in here with things that are on our hearts and minds that may be difficult to shift. And we know from the brain research that when we just acknowledge that, and we have one other compassionate witness, it helps. And then finally, what is your intention for yourself? You know, what are you hoping to have happen for yourself as you share with each other? So take a moment and just think about that. And then in a moment, I'm going to ask you to speak. And sometimes people go back to their classrooms and they use this activity and they forget to tell that you have to turn around. And I walk into the room and lo and behold, I'm like, what's that? What are they doing? One-way communication? What's happening here? You know, so clearly you're going to turn around, decide who's going to speak first. 2 minutes, and you'll hear a chime after 2. That means you're going to switch, and then I will raise my hand when we're finished, okay? So turn around, decide on which question you want to begin with. You can always tell the amount of teachers in the room with that activity without having explaining it before. Thank you. So just thank your partner, and let's have a seat. And what I'd like you to do is, and encourage you and I invite you to think about that intention throughout the day, adjust it, know that there's another compassionate witness to the things you need to put on hold, and that's often a very good thing to do with young people as well. And may we give and receive all that we're meant to from each other. Sometimes the biggest learnings happen in moments like that versus up here, but I think there'll be some good learnings up here as well. So thank you, and you'll see me throughout this time, and it's a pleasure to be here.